impaction of demonic powers and demons and oppressive spirits that come into human beings' lives who are not waiting and watching. Even Christians are stressed out and on edge. They know something is coming. They don't know how, they don't know when, they don't know from what quarter. And so they are allowing themselves to get captured in the net of fretfulness, to get captured in the net of anxiety, to get captured in the net of doing too much. Instead of focusing on the 1 or 2 or 3 things that need to get done, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and make sure that you maintain your relationship with God. They're worrying about everything. They're worrying about every fly on the wall. And then they're acting like they don't know why their CPU is overheating. Even laptops will complain and slow down and lag when you ask them to do too many simultaneous tasks. But all the mini Jesuses in the church are worrying about their stubborn brother, worrying about their stubborn workmate, worrying about this, about that, and the things that keep them balanced, right? The things that I've always spoken about here, that God expressly said, put on your oxygen mask first before you even put it on the baby that's with you. They're neglecting the regular cautions, and you will have crashes. You shall have crashes if your toe goes one step off the proper formula for maintaining your Christianity. And when your toe goes off and you find yourself catapulting down the side of the mountain to go back and start on the 2nd tier, 3rd tier, or maybe at the base of the mountain to start climbing again, you will not be able to say anything more than, Celestial, yeah, you did tell us, but I fell off. When you fall off, my eyes will stay frontward, and I will just think in my mind, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I'm not turning back to come and get you, because I always told you that floods are coming to come almost up to the neck of this spiritual mountain. And if you lag or fall off or get distracted, or I'm stopping, I just have to stop with this one person who doesn't want to come, who doesn't want to listen, you and them will drink the water of disobedience. Their disobedience is their choice. Your disobedience was disobeying God's express commands to continue coming up the mountain, and therefore avoid the flood waters. The Lord did tell me to say, he said, tell them once more about Jonathan. Jonathan had the whole world in front of him. Jonathan was born into royalty. He was born into wealth. The Bible doesn't tell us that Saul was married at the time that he was chosen. Saul was a young single man in his father's house, used to following orders, and so humble at the time that when a donkey went missing, Saul went to go and look for it. Saul was chosen by God because, as humble as he looked on the outside, Donald Trump supporters, as humble as he looked on the outside, as good a young man as he seemed on the outside, God alone knows what sleeps in the guts of a king. God alone knows what 30 years in power, 5 minutes of power for some of us, will do to a person. God selected Saul not because of how Saul looked at the time. God selected Saul because inside Saul was a steel blade that matched the rebellion of the people. Saul was a rebel in his core. I'm not accusing him of false humility. At the time he was selected, he couldn't believe that humble old him, the smallest in Benjamin, this and that, the youngest in my father's house. Yes, he couldn't believe that he had been chosen. He really meant all the things that he said. He really was trying to aspire to be a good king. But I've always told you here, as part of the teachings that I give, sometimes your intention means nothing without the acting out of it. Intention without execution is noise. When you tell someone that you will do something and you don't do it, you're making noise. And then when you come back and say, but I intended to do it, and the person is annoyed, you also get annoyed. And I've always been confused why. Who told you that your intentionality counts for anything when people are depending on you? Who told you that intentionality has to count? Who told you that we have to pin a star on your chest and give you brownie points when you say, but I was going to? We don't care. You dropped the ball. You created a gap and then harm was caused. Who cares what you were going to do? All that matters in life is what actually gets done. It's the execution of the thing, not the I was going to get to it of a thing. Saul was a rebel. He tried to be a good king, but the core of rebellion in him that he never grappled with to submit to God's authority, to even submit to God's chosen servant over his life. Samuel, having a prophet by your side, that is a priceless thing. And this is a gift that God granted the kings, to literally be able to run a secular nation. But Yah always intends for secular nations, the secular business of running the kingdom, to fall within the ambit, to fall within arena, to fall within the grip, to fall within the parameters, the limitations, the boundaries, the borders, the walls of the word of God. Any nation attempting to govern itself outside the word of God, you will go absolutely fundamentally mad. Demons will backflip over the sides of the castle, for the sides of the castle will melt down in the spirit. Demons will just stretch their long legs over and come in, and then you will begin to see the outbreak of capital madness among your people. They will become rapists, pedophiles, perverts, murderers, everything under the sun. And every foul bird will roost on the turrets. That is the high peaked areas of your castles, crying out day and night, rejected, foul, abandoned. And eventually they will cry out in unison as they do here, mystery, Babylon. Saul tried, but he did not go into his engine room to start turning off the steam of human pride that always feeds when you put people in the higher realms. The higher realm corrupts. The higher realm shows you who you really are.